How's it going, everybody? You can hear me all right, yeah? Because I've got the old studio mic back up again. Just because I'm using this acoustic. This, straight in there with the question, aren't you, Mark? Straight in there. Haven't even sipped my cold glass of wine yet. The biggest event I've played. Biggest event I've played. I'll have to think about that one. I've done so many. So this guitar was given to me by my auntie, who picked this up at the Tip in Waterlooville, and it is something that's very, very interesting. It came to me unplayable. Oh, excuse me. Unplayable. The neck was broken away from the body. It was flapping about. The nut was broken. The bridge was just a mess. And I've actually made a video which I will be putting on YouTube of me putting it all back, restoring it, if you like. So I replaced the nut and I sorted the bridge out and we glued the neck back and I stuck a screw in there with the button to help hold it in. Did all that stuff. And it's very, very interesting. There's no markings on it whatsoever to indicate what it is, who it's made by, or anything like that. Except, I don't know if you can see, here it says Coniston, 1962. You see that? Which has been etched into there using a compass or something. So I'm gathering it was either bought in 1962 or whoever did that got it in 1962. It might even be older than that. Hello, Dr. Nerd. How are you, sir? But it's gorgeous. It sounds like a cardboard box, if that makes sense. But it's just great for just for that old bluesy kind of sat on the porch kind of, yeah, that kind of. It is. It's like it's thuddy. Yeah, it's like it's not very resonant at all. It's kind of there doesn't seem to be any low end or any high end. It seems to be all like middle. Considering they're brand new strings, but it's been played to death. So I'm guessing it's from 1962 because it says 1962 on it. It might be older. Don't know what it's made of. Could be anything. I just think it looks really cool. Looks like something Robert Johnson would be playing. And it all works. All the tuners work and everything. So there's a YouTube video coming with that anyway. I think it sounds pretty authentic, you know? It sounds better if you play it softer, if that makes sense. You can't play anything over the 12th fret. Nothing works over the 12th fret. But weirdly, up to the 12th fret, it's fine. Hello, Guitar Girl. How are you? Well, thank you very much. But I was just really interested. I wish I knew more about it. I wish it could tell a story because I think it probably has loads and loads of stories. But it's got so many wounds, scars on it. All the finish is just like practically non-existent. The finish on it's so thin that it's just so old and been played to death. And I sort of brought it back to life, and I think I'll keep it in my collection. Maybe if I'm going to do a recording of an old bluesy song or something. And considering it doesn't have a truss rod in there, the neck isn't too bad. It's pretty straight. It is a, I would say, a large D. It kind of fills the whole palm of my hand. It's a little bit. It takes the energy out of you a bit, you know, when you're playing it. It takes getting used to. But I kind of like that. It kind of makes you work. But yeah, it's sweet, right? Even if it sits on my wall, it looks cool. Anyway, thank you all for turning up. Third live stream. Here we go. And I'm a little bit more prepared. Oh, no, I'm going to keep holding it. I like holding it. A little bit more prepared than usual. What's that? Sorry, I'm just reading through. Yes, that's cool. Yeah, the Piazza pickups. Yeah, they're a bit, aren't they? They can be. Yeah. It's like a cardboard box. Anyway. Yeah, it's kind of like that. But I think it is like a nylon strung. But I think it is supposed to have steel strings because it has this setup. You know, this is made for ball ends. And it looks pretty original. I could be wrong, of course. Somebody might have stuck that on there and took the other stuff off. This bridge is floating; it moves around, which was a right nightmare trying to get it to intonate to some point that the chords, were in tune with each other. So anyway, yes, so it is Wednesday Q&A, weekly Wednesday Q&A, even though it's Thursday, and I do apologise. I couldn't do yesterday because we had a band rehearsal and it would have been way too late by the time I got back. So I decided to do it today instead. We had a band rehearsal because we have a gig on Saturday in London at the Boom Boom Club. So I'm promoting the Brent Hutchinson band. There's a picture of me smelling my armpit because I was bending a high E. So yeah. So questions. The questions that are in question. So we'll hit the first question, we'll get going with the first question. So, what do I use? Do I use a tube screamer or a distortion pedal? And is there a difference? Well, firstly, yes, there is a difference. But secondly, a tube screamer is basically a type of overdrive, if that makes sense. It is more complicated than that, but it all depends on how the circuitry is. Tube screamer is a trademark of the certain circuitry that is used to achieve the clipping that is necessary to make the distortion. If that makes any sense. Overdrive and distortion is brighter, I would say, probably a little more gainy, and tube screamers are probably, in my opinion, warmer with just harmonics that suit my style of playing. So I use tube screamers, and I have a TS9 Ibanez, and I have a Bayang X Drive, which is like a tube screamer clone, which is actually better than the Ibanez, I find. Mike Oldfield. You'd have to enlighten me on who Mike Oldfield is. Sounds like a jazz player. Rings a bell. My live amp. I have several. I have 2 amps that I built myself. I have a 5-watt, like a Class A British kind of sounding valve amp, which I'm using currently at the moment. I'm kind of in love with that at the moment. And it is just literally 5 watts, and I push it through a 12-inch vintage 30 and mic it up on stage, and it sounds the nuts. Absolutely good. I have an 18-watt, which is down here, which I built myself as well, which is just, again, Class A valve amp. And I have a Fender Bass Breaker 1830, which I did use for quite a long time, touring and stuff, but it is kin loud. I didn't swear, YouTube. Kin loud. And the problem with that is you can't push it hard enough to get the valves to you know, to do their magic, which is a real shame. So I don't really use it anymore. It's actually up for sale. It's been up for sale for ages. Nobody's interested in it because it's big. It's a 2x12. It's heavy and loud. Nice though. Ian, will you be polishing your toenails for Saturday? That depends if he's going to be wearing his sandals or not, I suppose. Ah, Tubular Bells. Yes. Sorry, Luke. Yes, very talented guy. Indeed, I would say. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Luke, I have looked at postage for you for your T-shirts and CD. It's not that bad. I'll message you about it. Well, when I use my 5 watt, so is my live amp clean with dirt pedals, or is the amp set to mile breaker? When I use my it's no problem, Luke. Use my 5 watt, it's on full blast. Hello, the lamb. How are you doing? Yeah, when I use the 5 watt, it is set on to full blast. So the valves are just literally giving it everything they've got. So the clean isn't quite clean, if you know what I mean. It's kind of got a break up to it already. And then on my board, I've got my tube screamers, and I've even got a line booster as well. I've got a TC Helicon line booster, which is lovely. And I usually have that set as well. I usually leave that on just a couple of dB boost. So if I really want to go clean, I have to roll the volume back on the guitar a bit. But the way I play is I don't really necessarily have to go really clean. And now that I have Ian on acoustic guitar, holding down the rhythm, which is clean, I need it. I need it even less. So, but when it comes to doing stuff with the tube screamer, it absolutely sings. It's gorgeous, just lovely. I did think about being 2 amps and having like 5 watt as my lead amp, and then maybe my 18 watt or my Fender completely clean with the headroom, and switch in between. But then it gets more complicated, and I'll try and keep things simple if I can. Have I ever played another instrument live? Yes, piano and bass. I've played bass in bands before, and my first instrument was piano. Pardon me, when I was 6, and I actually did piano forte up to grade 5. So I did performances when I was really young, like classical music stuff, a long time ago. But that was how I started. I didn't pick up the guitar until I was about 13. Bass doesn't count. You're right. It doesn't count. That's funny. I'm not a very good bass player, to be fair. I'm okay. I can get by. I like that. Bass doesn't count. Are you listening, Ian? Bass doesn't count. Ian Hill's here. He's my bass player. Oh, well, he was my bass player. Now he's my acoustic player. Okay, let's hit question number 2. How many hours a day did I spend practicing when I first learned guitar? When I first learned guitar, or I first got a guitar, I couldn't leave it alone. I'm quite an obsessive person, and I'm like a dog with a bone. And when I was a bit of a loner as a child as well. I was like the little ginger kid that I was okay. I wasn't bullied that much, but yeah. So I used to spend a lot of time on my own in my room playing guitar. And back in the day, before the interweb and digital this and that and the other, I just had vinyl and a tape player, and I just used to learn as many songs as I possibly could by ear, which is probably a good thing. And when I did get some pocket money, I sent off for this course. I can't remember what it's called. I think it was called Fast Fingers or something like that. And you got a load of tab, like loads of blues licks and stuff like that, with a tape with a backing track on it, and it was like a tutorial thing. And I learned quite a bit from that. It's how I learned my basic theory, like minor pentatonics and stuff, blues licks and things. But I would play all the time, all day, 8 hours a day. I used to sit in front of the TV with my electric guitar, just running scales, just like that in front of the telly, motor skilling and doing finger exercises and practicing alternate pick. I used to do hours and hours. I was just so obsessed with it. Now I don't get a chance to practice all that much, but then I do play a lot. So I gig a lot and things like that, and do stuff in the studio and play a lot in the studio. I don't actually practice in the respect of practicing scales and things like that. I practice by just playing and enjoying myself. But yeah, to answer the question shortly, don't know if that's a word, about 8 hours a day I used to do. Yeah, did that for years. So still learning now. I'm sure quite a few of you could appreciate that you never stop learning. I'm always picking things up, and you pick things up from the most unexpected places and from the most unexpected people sometimes as well. A complete novice can come for a guitar lesson and they'll do something you're like, oh, you've got to show me that. You can learn from anybody. And I think the biggest learning experience I had was when I taught guitar at my local music college, which I did for about 3 years. Taught on the performance course there. Learned so much. Hello, Big Kev. Early morning. It's late. Well, it's not late evening. It's evening here. How you doing, buddy? Oh no! Have I got any recordings of my classical piano? No, because we didn't have the ability to do it. We didn't. It wasn't a thing recording stuff back then. Like now, you got your phone. You can just hit record or just run do a video or whatever. Yeah, you can. That's why I haven't. No, unfortunately, there's no video of anything either because we didn't have that. Yeah. You'll be surprised actually. Am I listening to my 5-watt amp on stage, or am I hearing it back through the wedges? Sometimes I don't have to have it through the wedges. It depends. You'd be surprised how loud 5 watts is. By the time when you're cranking that 5 watt up, and the Celestion Vintage 30 speaker, like I just use one, is a very efficient speaker as well. It's loud. It's loud. It's about as loud as a drum kit is, if that makes sense. And by the time I'm pushing tube screamers through it and line boosters and stuff, and you got wah going, I use quite a lot of wah as well. Yeah, I can hear it usually. I usually stick a little bit through the monitor, just to cut through. Especially if they're miking drums up as well on stage, then yeah, definitely. But I think mostly I'm hearing it. Yeah, definitely. I would like probably a 10 watt. I think a 10 watt would be perfect, or maybe an 8, something like that. Would I ever go back to teaching music? Do you know what I when I did, because what I did is I did like a HND music performance 10 years ago, and once I finished that, they asked me to teach. So I was like a mature student. I was like 34, even then. And then they asked me to teach, and so I taught some lessons, and then I had to do a teaching degree to keep on working there. You're allowed to teach so long, but then I did a teaching degree, which was another 2 years study. I did all that, and then I had my own classes after that. And I did like it, but it wasn't anything I wasn't really passionate about doing it. If that makes sense. So I didn't do it for very long. And actually, I was made redundant because the government cut funding to the arts in this country, and lots of music departments in colleges got downsized. So I kind of got, let go anyway. And I wasn't bothered. I just wasn't bothered. I just went back to performing more, which I think I'm more comfortable doing. I like gigging and I like playing and singing live. Would I go back to it? Yeah, maybe one day. maybe. It's at least it's something I've got. I can always do it if I want to. What brand is this? Oh, you missed the beginning. Hit that like button. This just to recap for Big Kev here. This was found at a tip. My auntie found it, brought it to me. It was an absolute wreck. I fixed it all up and got it working again. We don't know what it is. It's been played to death. All we know is it's got Coniston 1962 etched in here, and that's all I know about it. But it's all working, and I quite like it. It's got this kind of authentic, kind of like old schooly sound and look. Look good in a photo shoot or something. But yeah, so that's the story with that big gift. So pardon me. So I'm just going back to make sure I haven't missed anybody. Do you play Big Kev? So I've watched your channel. Actually, I know you're a bit of a bargain hunter like me. Yeah, it's got an old kind of sound. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I like it. It smells like a like an attic would smell. I think it's been. Yeah, maybe I should have cleaned it out first. I don't know. All right. So should we move on to question 3? There's 7 questions, It's very exciting. So question 3. Did I learn on an acoustic or electric? I learned on an electric, and my first electric was, and some of you might remember these or know what they are, it was a Columbus 335 copy. The smell adds to the tone. Smell that tone. I shall check them out, Big Kev. I'll get over there and have a look. Yeah, so it was a Columbus 335 copy, and I loved it. It was a gorgeous looking thing, but it wouldn't stay in tune for love or money. And back then, obviously, I didn't know why. And thinking back, I don't know why either. But I remember changing the tuners on it, and I bought some proper Gibson tuners that made no difference, and they were really expensive, and it cost me those now. I was like, why am I listening to those? So I ended up getting rid of it. But first song I learned was House of the Rising Sun, because I can't even remember how to play it. Oh, I can't remember. Something like that. That was the first song I learned, and then I learned a track like that, and it went from there really. Who are my favourite guitar players? Oh, there's lots of guitar players I love. When I was learning guitar and growing up, I say growing up, I don't think I've ever really grown up, but when I was, going through the changes, I was listening to obviously Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, Santana. I was banging to Van Halen, Brian May. Who else? Blah blah blah. 10 Years After. Do you remember a band called 10 Years After? The Who, the Stones, the Beatles. I was listening to loads of stuff, and all the Kings, BB King and Albert King, and blah blah blah. All of those guys. I was just soaking everything up that I could. Back then, later on, I discovered people like Robin Ford. I'm really bad with names. I can't remember people's names, even celebrities. But yeah, stuff like that, Saw Columbus 335 recently going for £200. I've got an Ibanez instead. Yeah, you're better off getting the Ibanez, I think. Yeah, Columbus, I think they were just like an entry-level thing back in the day, but they were pretty good. They weren't bad. They weren't great either, but they weren't bad. I think they did Strats and they did some SGs and stuff. I'm not sure they're still going or not. How many guitars have you got, and the most popular brand? Frank Marino, yes. How many guitars have I got at the moment? Let me think. Hang on. Well, in here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One next door, 12. 13, 14 is 2 in the house. 14. 3 in the 4, 15. 15. I've got 15 guitars at the moment, I think, roughly. Yes. 15 guitars. Most popular brand. Well, I sold my Fender. I sold my Fender Strat so I could get some Harley Benton Strats. Well, Harley Benton guitars. Harley Benton are. Oh, I'm a Harley Benton fanboy. I have a PV. That's quite a popular brand, I suppose. Couple of PVs. Got 2 PVs, and that's it really. I've never owned a Gibson. I've owned Epiphone before. Right. Do I have a number 1 guitar? Out of my collection at the moment, and my collection does change quite a lot, would be this one. This would be my guy at the moment, my Harley Benton Black Paisley, which I pimped up with a Fender 2-point trem and some Fender staggered tuners. I did have some noiseless Fender pickups in here, but then I didn't like them. Put the Roswells back. The Roswells are better, in my opinion. There's a video about that on my channel, but that's my go-to at the moment. And my Harley Benton kit guitar as well is really cool. Guitar I've had a long time. This is the thing with me. I don't keep guitars that long. I've had this one for quite a while. I've had this a long time for me. I think I've had this 3 years. I think, roughly. And I've had my PV for quite a while, but I don't really play it. I don't tend to keep guitars long. I get bored. But there you go. This is a beautiful guitar, yeah. They're not flawless, Harley Benton. You know, you get them up close, and you can see some. You know, they're not perfect, but I mean, it's like it was 130 quid delivered, to my door, and it's a really good instrument. Like, it's never let me down, and it looks great, plays great, sounds great. I mean, what more do you want? Much better than somebody asked me the other day. Oh, what would you get? One of these or a Squire Bullet or a Squire Affinity? I was like, get one of these because these come stock with Wilkinson trem, Roswell pickups. You know, they're for the same money. Yes, I love Dave Simpson. Yeah, Dave Simpson's a cool guy. I've been following. He bought a Harley Benton, hated the neck, and it's a funny video. And he just chiseled all the neck down to make because it was too big for him. I mean, yeah, it's good. He's a good guy. Great player. What a player. Yeah, I like his channel. I watch it all the time. Ah, the Plank. Yes, the Plank. The Plank was a guitar I had, and if you ever see any old pictures of them, I don't know if that is the Plank on there. Actually, it might be. I had a guitar, and I called it the Plank, and I think it was a Squire body. Originally had EMGs, active EMGs in it, and then I swapped them for some Fender noiseless, and then they had something else put in it. The neck was a luthier made neck. It was lovely. What is? It's Mark now owns it. A lovely neck, luthier made neck, really thin like an Ibanez, and it's killer guitar. And I played that and played that and played that. Wore the paint off from playing it. Never put it in a case, or hardly ever put it in a case. So it got damaged quite a lot. So it was covered in dents. It just looked like a blues monster in it. I played at a recent gig in London. Mark brought it down, and he brought it down for me. He only wanted me to play it one song, and I broke a string on the Benton first song and played it for the whole gig. And I was like, oh, this thing, missed it then. I did miss it when I was playing it at the time. Great guitar. I did have that a long time, years. Probably the longest I've ever. I can't remember how many years, but it was a little bit like Trigger's brush. You know, it had like, if you don't know what Trigger's brush is, it's like, it's a broom that has 10 replacement heads and 12 replacement handles. It was kind of like that. It kind of, things got chopped around and changed all the time. Yes, guitar. Yeah, the Black Play's a great guitar. It's my go-to right now, really. Oh, you've had a guitar for 38 years. That's a long time to keep. Yeah, I suppose you would get attached to it by then. I think I've had my van longer than I've had any of my guitars. um, my biggest gig disaster. Ooh, I'll tell you what my biggest gig disaster was, and it's not that bad, but because I'm usually quite prepared, I'm like that. But I was in a band called Planet Graffiti at the time, and we had this song, and it had a drop D tuning in it, and I just got my Boss tuner, and what I should have done is I should have had a second guitar tuned to a drop D and just changed guitar, but no, being clever dick, put the tuner on to tune it down to the drop D, and tuned it to an E flat instead of the drop D. So when I went to play as you can imagine, the one finger drop D chord, it was oh no, and we sort of got like 10 seconds into the song, and it was like everyone's just looking at each other, and it's actually the drummer went, "We've got to stop, we can't." And then you've got a room like I don't know how many people, there's about 100, 150 people in this blues rock club, just like stood there going, "What is he doing? What the hell's going on?" Yeah, all confused. That was quite embarrassing. Yes. Where do I tend to gig tour? Only this country usually. Um, I I'm kind of always on tour because my gigs, I do a lot of solo gigs, and my gigs are all over the place. I drive, like this weekend just gone. I must have covered 500 miles just doing a gig here, doing a gig. But I come home every day because England's small, isn't it? You can do that. I've I've been up and down the country, done all the way up the country, Midlands, up to Scotland, back again. Um, did a tour at the beginning of the year in Russia, which is really cool. Um, but yeah, basically, yeah, that's that. Did I point at the bassist? I wish I could have got away with that, but I started the song. It was like this drop D riff, It was like, yeah, I couldn't. Normally, I would have. Cardiff. I haven't, not in a long time actually. I haven't been up that way in a long, long time. Um, the last time I went up that way was when I toured with a band called the Billy Walton Band. Did a couple of tours with them. In the band I was in called Planet Graffiti. That was the last time I went that way. It's not really cost effective when I'm doing solo gigs, and that's mostly what I do. It's not really cost effective to go too far because the money's just not there. Most famous person I've jammed with, Graham Neal. You probably never heard of, who died recently. And I did a few jams with him in his final kind of year, and he opened for the Stones and toured around the world and stuff. He was friends with Brian May, and I've got Brian May's Ebo because he left it to me. Um, yes, that's probably the most famous person I jam with. That and Gary Shaw, who you probably don't know either, but Gary Shaw has been on lots and lots of people's albums. Top session player back in the day, and he was my guitar teacher for a while, and he's my good friend. Um, yeah, on my on my upcoming events on my website, I'm really bad with my website, and I should put stuff on my website. I just don't. I'm just so busy doing everything else that it gets forgotten all the time. No, it's the word. I should, and I've got a swanky new website as well that my drummer helped me put together and helped me finance, and I should really get on it. And I'll tell you what, I will. Now you said that. Where's the one place in the world that you would like to play, and which well-known guitarist would you choose to play? I don't know really. I'd love to go to the States. It's always been a dream of mine to go to the States, maybe New Orleans or something like that, and and get some like real down and dirty places that that I don't know who with though. Lincolnshire. No. If you want to get me a gig in Lincolnshire, then I'll come up to Lincolnshire. That'd be great. The problem is, most of my acoustic gigs, my solo gigs, are bread and butter gigs, and they're like cover gigs, and it's me just like banging out Oasis and Steelers Wheel and that kind of thing, and then it's just really to pay my bills. I mean, I do chuck in some tastier stuff as well, but I can do a solo, and I do it very, very occasionally, where I do a solo show where I play acoustic and loop the acoustic, and then I play electric over that as well, and I do a lot of original stuff and a lot of like bluesy rock and stuff like that. But I don't do them very often, unfortunately, because people just don't want to pay for it. And when you've got bills to pay, you've got to do what they want. You've got to give the people what they want. Pardon me. Is Mark a band member? No. Mark is like he's the super fan. He looks after me and does a lot. And he runs the unofficial BHB, which is the production band, Facebook page, and he's just started a YouTube channel, and he puts all the bootleg stuff up and things, and comes to the gigs and videos, does lots of videos and things. And he's very, very, very helpful, and he is super fan. And he greets me every morning with a "How you doing, Rushdie? Morning, good night, sleep," and all that stuff. He's very cool. Have I ever played in the dark? Yeah. Right then, let's move on to question 4. Time is pressing on. Is just gigging enough to stay full time? No, it's not. It used to be. Back in the day. I sound old when I say that. Gigging is not enough to generate enough money. Solo gigging it can be, because solo gigs are a lot more lucrative than band gigs. I think unless you really want to go down the road of doing weddings and tribute stuff or cruise ships and functions, then it probably can be very good living. But what I'm doing, no. So you have to have other streams of income. You have to do other things, and what I do is I do my solo gigs. I do some band gigs. I do some busking when I need to, and I buy and sell guitars. I renovate guitars. I make custom guitars. I do setups for people. All that kind of thing as well, and the odd bit of session work and all that stuff, just to drag in money from where I can. And obviously now YouTube. I've been working on YouTube a lot and getting it monetized, and that's another stream that can come in. And you just have to keep moving with the times, really. Years ago, and not too long ago actually, I could easily do 200 solo gigs a year. I think the most I ever did was like 230. I did 230 gigs in a year, combined with solo gigs and band gigs. I think it was in August, I did 27 gigs in 1 month, in the month of August. That busy, and as time's gone on, it's getting less and less and less. Venues are closing down. I think there's more people doing it now than there used to be as well. So the competition's fiercer, and it's harder every year. It gets harder and harder and harder. Maria says that I talk more to you than her. You probably do. I've heard of Dan Patlansky. Patlansky? No, I haven't. I'm really bad at things like that. I should look at more artists, and I don't. I'm a bit lazy like that. Yes. So yes. So that was my answer to the question 4. So question 5. When was your first studio recording session, and what was it like? Well, my first My first taste at recording, and I'm showing my age now, was when I purchased a 4-track tape multi-recorder thing, and I was in a band, and I had long hair, and I was really thin and long hair, leather jacket and cowboy boots, and we were in a rock band, like heavy rock band ish, and we were going to take over the world, and so I bought this 4-track to make some demos, and they came out quite horrendous. And then it wasn't until I was in the band Planet Graffiti, which was 2009 when I first met. Oh, they asked me to join them, and the bass player, who was married to the drummer eventually, female drummer. If you're wondering, doesn't matter. Had his own studio. So when I went there, it was like I was walking into a studio, and I'd never been in a studio before, and it was quite daunting. And we recorded the first album that we did called Standing Tall, which did quite well actually. In as little as it was written and recorded and done and out within 3 months. But I can remember spending days in there and not going outside because it had its own facilities as well. It's quite kind of a weird thing. And I think the thing I found the hardest about recording wasn't the guitar parts or anything like that. It was singing. I'd never done that before, like singing to my own music through headphones in a boot. You know, it's still, I still find it difficult to do that. And pull off a good performance, if you know what I mean. Now I have my own. I mean, I call this a studio. It is a studio, but you know, I do everything in here. I'm very used to it now, and I've worked at some other studios and stuff. So yeah, that's what it was like. Sorry, go back. Dan Pulaski. Cool blues rock guitarist. Okay, I'll look him up. No worries. 230 gigs in a year. Blimey, you must have vocal cord of steel. I'm quite lucky actually. I don't. I mean, the weekend just gone, I did 4 gigs in a row. One of them was a 3-hour gig as well. Fine. I don't tend to. I don't tend to lose my voice very often. When I'm really on it, I can literally go busking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, do a gig Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go back out busking again Monday. Sometimes I do double gigs as well. I do 2 gigs in one day, do like a Sunday afternoon, and go do a Sunday evening. Does get a bit, you know, sometimes it can be a bit of a strain, but I'm not too bad. I'm quite lucky like that. I think it's because I've been taught how to sing, so I use proper technique, and I warm up first and drink lots of water and things and do all the things you're supposed to do. I find my fingers struggle more than my voice does. My fingers, after a while, they swell up. I've got quite stubby fingers anyway, and I'm quite an aggressive player as well. And after a while, my fingers swell, and then they won't move and stretch properly. and I have had bleeding fingers as well, like ripped skin off the ends. And tried the super. I don't know what the super glue thing's all about. It doesn't work for me. The super glue just comes off again. I don't know. Steve Ray Vaughan used to do that apparently. Did singing come naturally to you, or have you had to work it? No, it did not come naturally to me at all. I've always been a musician first, piano player first. I was in the choir at school. Well, not really the choir, but did choir singing at school. And I was piano player first, then I was a guitar player for ages. And then I decided, I did backing vocals for a while. And then, when was it? It must be 15 years ago. I was having trouble with singers because I always did duos up to that point, duos and bands. And so I decided to give it a go myself, and I spent ages and ages trying to get anything to sound decent. And my first gigs I did, I was pretty bad. Took a lot of work. Took a lot of work. I still don't consider myself to be the best vocalist out there by far, you know, but I can hold it together now, and do a convincing performance, and it's in tune mostly, you know, and all that kind of thing. And I did have singing lessons when I did my music degree, which was really helpful. Which, you know, did accelerate it a bit. No. Does anyone watch John Robson's YouTube channel? Another great player. Yeah, and very entertaining. No, but I shall look him up, of course. Always looking to expand my know-how of people and players. So we are definitely in a golden age of guitars and a golden age of guitar players as well, and other musicians. There's so much talent out there. It's mind-blowing. Tonal pitch. Good question. Don't know. Depends, really. I think if my voice is tired, then tone can be an issue. You try. If you've got a bit of a tired voice and you've done loads of gigs or whatever, and then you try and do something which normally sounds really good, and it doesn't quite work, because it's pitching. I'm not too bad. Usually, I'm okay. I actually find singing lower harder than singing higher. I've got quite a high range when I have to sing down here. I find that a little bit hard to pitch, so I get a bit wavy there. Yeah. Yes, we did have some very messy nights at the studio. Going back to the studio, it's actually called the Mayfair Studio in, where was it? Farnham, Churt, isn't it? In the country. We did have some messy nights at that studio. Good though. The kind of messy nights where you think you've done the best guitar solo in the world and it's amazing. You can't wait to get to it the next day and start mixing it, and then you listen to it back and you're like, oh, what was I doing? This is awful. Why am I not more well known in the music industry? I thought I was. I don't know, mate. Never in the right place at the right time, I suppose. I don't know. I do all right. I think I'm very privileged because, for the last 10 years I've been able to um, be a musician full time, and it's not easy, but I'm happy. I'm happier than I've ever been in any job I've ever done, and I'm very, very lucky that I can just get up every day and my whole world is around music. Unofficial BHB. The unofficial BHB is run by Mark, and it's kind of like the unofficial BHB Facebook page. The reason behind it is that anything that, because I've got the Brent Hutchinson Band Facebook page anyway, but the unofficial BHB is for like more bootleggy stuff. It's more stuff that we probably wouldn't put out, but it's still cool to put out because it's interesting. So it's like, lots of like video footage and stuff, bits and bobs. Mark runs it. Right then, so moving on. So this is going quite smoothly today. I'm quite happy. It's good to be prepared. Question number 6. Right, what's the proper topping on a pizza? And pineapple, yes or no? Well, obviously cheese. You've got to put cheese on a pizza, otherwise it's not really a pizza. And personally, I like meat, so anything that's got meat on it. Pineapple, I could eat it. I'm not very fussy when it comes to food, though. But fruit on a pizza, I don't know if that's a good idea or not. But if it was put in front of me, then I'd still eat it and probably still enjoy it, to be fair. But yeah, for me, meat and cheese is the proper thing to put on a pizza. Probably because Brent plays real music. Otherwise, it is very hard, though, to make a living from music. It is very hard to make a living from music these days, and you do have to compromise, like I was saying before. I do a lot of solo gigs, but I'm banging out Wonderwall, Twist and Shouts in there. Sweet Home Alabama, it's all there. But I tend to do things my own way, and I use a looper, and I can schmoodle and stuff, and have a bit of fun with it. You start playing original music, and people are like, what's that? It's difficult, which is why I'm excited for the gig on Saturday, because it's a band and it's original music. We're plugging the album, and great. But they don't come around often enough. Small YouTubers. I am a small YouTuber. Got any advice for a small YouTuber? I am small. So I don't know. Just stick at it. I mean, I think this is the next question. This is actually covering the next question. The last question. Food-wise, Brent doesn't mind as long as it fits on a shovel. True. And Guitar Girl says, yeah, true. It's all true. But to answer your question there, Dr. Nerd, which is the last question, so we might as well do that question since you brought it up. What made you start your YouTube channel, and the things you do on it now, and what is the goal for yourself? Well, this YouTube channel is really old. This YouTube channel was set up in 2009, so it's 10 years old. Originally, I set it up because it's just what you did back then, and I don't think anybody realised that YouTube was going to be anything like it is now. And I just used to chuck up gig stuff, just gig videos and rehearsal videos. A bit of a dumping ground, became a dumping ground for just stuff. And weirdly though, and I kick myself for this, I think it might have been 2010. I came up with the idea of doing Bandcamp TV, and I spoke to the band because I used to stay at the studio, sleep there, and we used to have some messy times, messy nights, and stuff, and recording and all that kind of thing. I thought it'd be good if we I didn't even know what vlogging was then. I was like, but if we made like some videos about it, like behind the scenes of us doing this, doing that, and make it funny and all that. We did 2 episodes, nobody watched it, and then I gave up on it. Who knew that vlogging would be such a massive thing? If I'd have stuck with it then, it could have been huge. But the equipment we had was rubbish, and it was like in 480, whatever it is, and it was bad quality, and obviously studio lighting's bad, so it just looked bad as well. But we did a couple of it. I don't know if they're still out there. We did have a YouTube channel, Planet Graffiti YouTube channel. They might still be out there, those 2 episodes. And I think one of them was called C6 Steve. I'll have to find them and watch them. I remember laughing my ass off afterwards. Anyway, yeah. So why did I start? I restarted the YouTube channel 9 months ago, and I was at a measly, well, not measly, but I had about 300 subscribers, I think, based on all the stuff I had on there. Because I kept like dumping videos on, like every time I had something, I just chuck it on there with no real effort, no thumbnails, no descriptions, really, just chucking stuff on there. And I gained a few subscribers over years, like maybe a couple of hundred over 2 years. And then I decided, in order to move with the times and talking about extra streams of income and stuff like that, and when you look at YouTube now, and that you can make a viable living on there, or at least you can make something to help, make it a stream of income to help your whole income. And I thought, well, it might be a good idea to learn about YouTube and actually try and build the channel up, which is what I did. And in the 9 months, I've gained like 900 subscribers, and had just been doing everything I possibly can to learn how it works and what people want. Yes, I did do BHB TV, which Mark's just said, unofficial BHB. When was that? Just over a year ago. Did 10 episodes, which is basically like a vlog of the band at the time. And that didn't really work out, but I just kept at it. But that was all me learning how to do it, really. And then I decided I was going to do a vlog a day, and the idea was to do a vlog a day for a year. And I managed 100 days. I did about 100 episodes, but it got too much, and people again weren't watching it. And there's a whole playlist of that on my channel now. But it was good to do it because it was documenting a part of my life, which I'm really proud. I'm proud of quite a lot of things I've done in my life, and it's kind of a log of that. And it taught me all about how YouTube works and video editing, and it just helped me improve, on my videos and stuff like that. And then I started doing a couple of guitar reviews, and I did one of the Harley Benton Gold Top, and it went viral. Weirdly, well, viral for me. It got like 13,000 views, whereas I was only getting 30 views or 50 views. And I actually got a message from YouTube saying, "Congratulations, yeah, you're doing really well. Keep doing what you're doing." This is, I was like, "Whoa!" So then I started doing more gear reviews, and then do, the custom guitars and stuff, and here we are. And I think that's working really well. And I did do Twitch for a while, about a year ago, and that was actually quite good, but it's really time consuming and quite exhausting. Which is why I decided to come back to YouTube Live. So my advice is just keep going, just keep doing it, learn as much as you can. I watched loads and loads and loads of videos on how to make thumbnails, how to get more views, how to this, how to that, and just learn as much as I could about keywords and descriptions and thumbnails and it does help. It really does. And then just try and figure out what people want to watch. Just keep looking at what's working, and then just keep doing what's working. I suppose that's my advice. But just keep going. It's a slow road. So I'm just gonna have to go back through. I was waffling on for ages. Blah blah blah. It's watching 144p. Luke's watching in 144p. Blimey, I bet I look good in that. Thought about going down the vlog route. I will probably go back to vlogging at some point. I did enjoy doing the vlogs. It's good fun. Yeah, it's probably a good thing that you can't make out my face. You can hear me. That's fine. What's up with your internet, man? Was I gaming on Twitch? No, I was doing performances on Twitch. I did the whole thing. So I was sat with my looper and my acoustic, and I had my microphone and everything. And I had a playlist, song list, and people could pick songs and I'll play that song, and then I would take requests for next week or the next session. And I'd sit there and I'd be playing songs and singing, do the whole thing. Yeah, it was like, but it was tough. So sometimes I'd stream for 8 hours. Yeah, sometimes, and usually it was about 3 hours. And then consequently, you get more followers, and then people will donate money and send blah blah blah. So yeah, I made a bit of cash out of it, but it was good fun and it was great practice as well. And I did it in the summer, and in here, it's not so bad now. It's starting to cool down. It gets really hot in here because this is actually a shed. Even though it doesn't look like a shed, it's a shed, and it gets kin hot in here. And I had an air conditioner for a little while, and that broke down, and it was just sweating and playing. Yeah, but it's good though. I did enjoy it. I might go back to it. I might do some more twitching at some point. Luke, 144. I mean, that's cool. That's got to look real bad. When's Freddie gonna have his own tube channel? Well, a lot of you won't know about Freddie. Freddie's story is he was given to me by a kid when I was busking one day, and he couldn't give me any money, so he gave me this, which he just bought from somewhere, and he's been with me ever since. And when I did my vlogging, Freddie was a character within the vlogs, and people that were watching the vlogs and were fans of the vlogs wanted Freddie to have his own show, but he's featured quite a lot in the vlogs. He's a sweet thing, but he's quite annoying. I will be vlogging Saturday as a one-off, and Freddie might be in that. Is Twitch a good way to avoid YouTube music copyright strike? Yes, you can do what you want. Well, as far as I know, it was like that a year ago. I had no problems playing covers and whatnot on there. Obviously, on YouTube, you can't do anything like that. I mean, people have got copyright strikes on YouTube for playing a chord. I don't know how that works. Guitar Girl knows. No unicorn policy. She knows. She's seen it. And there was a theme tune and everything. It's all there. You can go and watch it. Please go and watch it. So we're back with this beast. Yeah, I had copyright strike for a video that had some garage bands inbuilt free sample music. I don't know what's going on with all the copyright stuff. It's like it's quite bad. I know that. I've watched quite a lot of YouTubers ranting on about it, and there doesn't seem to be much support for the creators. I mean, it's like me going. Could probably get me a copyright strike because someone owns it. You might have done. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether. I mean, did people used to make their own guitars? Did somebody actually make this themselves? Probably not. But it's weird. It's weird. It's like the frets are made of brass, and they're square as well. So when you slide, it's kind of like. Oh. So I might crown them. They're very thin, so it might be difficult, but I might try and crown them. Do I believe in reincarnation? And if so, what would you like to come back as? No, I don't believe in reincarnation. So, and if I did, me have another go. I'd like to come back as me, knowing what I know now. Does that make sense? No one make all the mistakes I made. Yeah, it probably is an old budget catalogue. Probably is one of those things that they used to do in the catalogues. I mean, I've got one of Ian's guitars. It's a Suzuki, which I will get back to you, Ian. He gave it to me to do some work to it, and it's been forgotten about a little bit. But I will do it. But it's a lovely guitar. The Suzuki acoustic's great. But yeah, this probably was. I don't know what style it's supposed to. It's like a parlor guitar. That's what it looks like to me. But yeah, probably. I like it because I know it's probably worth nothing, but I like it because it's been played. Somebody has actually played this. Well, people have played this thing a lot. I mean, look at that. It's got a little like eye hook. You know, like you get the hook. See that? Someone's screwed that in there for the string, for the strap. I don't know why they put it there, but it's just I think that's brilliant. I just wish it could talk to me. Vintage, as in the vintage guitars, yeah. They're very good, actually. Vintage guitars. I've had a few, and I've got friends that have got quite a few, and they're very good. Oh, you mean as in vintage, as in old, not vintage the make? Okay. Right. No, I don't believe the hype because, like for instance, buying vintage pickups from I don't know the 50s or something are supposed to be superior. They're not because the manufacturing process now has advanced so much, and the materials they use now are much better. And back in those days, they were hand wired and stuff, or hand wound, and so there would have been inconsistencies. Now there's really very minor. You're not going to get any inconsistencies at all. It's all done by robots, and machines, and things. So you would have probably gotten like some pickups and things that were very good because the person that was doing it was very talented, and you get ones that were rubbish because I don't know, maybe the guy was having a bad day or the trainee made them. I don't know. It's just I don't believe it. No, I think modern stuff's much better. I could be wrong. It's only my opinion, though. Ooh, what was that? A double note then. Anyway, I get carried away. Sorry. So we've gone over the hour, well over the hour. These live streams are only supposed to be an hour long. And I'm really chuffed you all came and asked me lots of questions. It's really cool. It's great to chat to you all. So next week we'll be back to Wednesday. Also look out for the second guitar tutorial, which I'm doing. Somebody did ask me about modal scales, which I was going to mention, modes and stuff like that. But if you keep up with my guitar tutorials, the first one was about playing the major scale with the minor scale over the dominant chord and how they lock together, and then the next one will be playing the next shape, which comes from the second part of the major scale. That is modes. I just don't refer to them as modes. So, just to keep things simple, but modes are basically playing the major scale from, like, the root note would be the first mode, playing the same scale from the second note would be the next mode, but the intervals would be different because of that. Because you're not starting at the one, you're starting at the second, and so on and so on. And they've got names, and that's modes. So it's basically that's what that's about, but I'm just not referring to it in that way, because as soon as you start going modes, people go, it's like their brains melt. So I don't look at it that way anyway. It's one big scale to me. No problem, Luke. Thank you for coming. I hope I'm saying your name right. Is it Luke? Or is it Luck? Or is it Loose? You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm calling you Luke at the moment. You'll always be Luke to me. I'll message you about the t-shirt. We can sort that out. Sorry it took so long. I think I've got a couple left. They'd be big though. I think they're large like these. So if you're a little guy. Cool. Luke it is. Okay, so I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you for coming along. And if you think of any more questions you would like to ask me, better than what's on TV. Maybe I could be a TV star. Maybe that's my calling. I don't know. Cool, large is fine. Great. If you think of any more questions you want to send me, then please do. You can message me on here or find my Facebook. I think it's in the description. Come and find me on Facebook if you haven't already, and you can ask me questions, and then we'll put it in the stream. We had 7 questions today, but we can do more. That's fine. Well, we had loads more because people were asking me questions in the chat too, so that's really great. And thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for all coming and everything. Thank you. Bye.